Hey YouTube. So in the last video, we had concluded with having installed Cowsay really. And what we did in the two previous videos is we have installed NixOS and we have built a basic flake configuration structure. And in the last video, we finished with having a working installation of Home Manager to manage the user space. And we installed and launched Hyperland as a window manager successfully. And that's really the point where I would like to continue today. So what we will do is we will make some very basic configuration to Hyperland so we can use Hyperland on the virtual machine to interact with GUI applications. And then I will start showing you how to build out feature sets in the home configuration for the user. So let's get started. So to get a starting point for Hyperland, I will just push my Hyperland configuration I have on my desktop here to the virtual machine, and we will see what happens. So I will just SCP this over to the virtual machine. And the first thing I want to do on the virtual machine is to have a look into the configuration we have here. So as I said, this is a configuration from my main system. So we have the displays configured up here and some other things. So for example, I use Waybar as my bar application at the top. I use Hyperpaper for setting my wallpaper Hyperidle to handle the idle state when the computer is not used, and so on and so forth. And as you can see here, this configuration does not include the variable with the software renderer that we used last time to fix the problem Hyperland not starting. The thing is really, on a virtual machine, you have to enable 3D acceleration in order to get Hyperland working. I have tried this in between the videos and the software rendering is just horrible and basically not usable. So what I did was between the last video and this video, I enabled 3D acceleration for my virtual machine. And of course, as this is enabled now, we don't need to set the environment variable for the software rendering. So what I want to look into now are the key bindings, because we want to have some basic usability for Hyperland. And the most important parts for me are actually the terminal and the application launcher. So I have configured the main mod key plus T to open a terminal window. And as you can see, this will use Kitty as my terminal application, and Kitty will start a fish shell within, and both of those are not installed yet. So we need to fix that first. And the other thing is for main mod D, I execute Wofi. This is my application launcher, so we also need to install that. And for now, we can just leave the configuration like this and don't need to make any changes. But what we need to do is, of course, we need to make changes to our configuration. So for now, I will just put this into home packages in my home.nix file in the user space and just install Kitty and install Wofi and save this file. And as I like to work with the fish shell, I will install fish globally as the default shell for all users on the system. So in order to do this, I go to hosts, common, and default.nix. And yeah, just here at the bottom for now, I will just configure the default user shell as fish here. So that's users default user shell equals packages fish. And you can see I get a warning here because packages is not available in this file right now. So we fix that quickly at the top. And we just make packages available here, save this one. And when I go down here, you can see the warning is gone. And what we also need to do, of course, is as we have defined fish as the default shell for all users, we need to make fish available globally on the whole system. So what I would like to do now is I go to my configuration under the host name and the configuration.nix, and I will just do programs.fish.enable equals true. And now I can just rebuild my configuration. And when I go to my virtual machine, so just check if everything is available. So Wofi is available, Kitty is available, and those are both GUI apps. So of course I get a warning because there is no display really for them. And I will also try fish. Fish is also available. So now I will just try to start Hyperland. And you can see Hyperland is starting. And when I hit Mod D, I get the run menu where I can select applications. And for now, I have just Kitty installed, so I could select that. And Kitty will open, and it will, of course, open in the default shell, which is fish right now. And I can close this one. And one little problem, of course, in here is I use Hyperland on my host, and I use Hyperland on my virtual machine. And if I press the key combination to end Hyperland on the virtual machine, this will also end Hyperland on my main machine. So that's not something I want to do. So I will just go for pre-kill Hyperland to close it up here. And now what I would like to do is to build out feature sets really. So feature sets kind of groups in my NixOS configuration. So in my home directory here, I make a new folder and I name this one features here. And just for now, I make a new subfolder, which I name CLI. And here I create a new file, default.nix. And in this file, I want to configure all the CLI related features I want to have available on any system and on any user. So that's kind of a global configuration of the feature part for the CLI. So I will start with a program named Zoxide, and that's a program that enables me to quickly switch between directories. And what I also would like to add is a replacement for the ls command. And just for now, I will also install the bat command as a replacement for the cat command and just save this one. And down here, I will just define some additional packages to be installed in the home environment. So that's core utils, that are some basic helper applications for Linux. That is fd for replacing the find command. JQ is something to format and query JSON. Prox is a PS replacement. Ripgrep is a grep replacement. TLDR is helpful when you need some quick documentation. And I want to also install zip. And now I can save this one. And here I can just go to the configuration for my host machine, which is the VM in this case. Just format this a little bit. And now I import features /CLI. And in order to rebuild the configuration, and because we have just created new files and folders, I need to quickly add all of the files right now. And now I can just rebuild my system again. And now we can check over here. So for example, htop is available, or we can just enter the JQ command. So all these commands are available right now. And what I would like to do now is I want to make a more extended configuration for the fish shell. So I will add a new file here and name this one fish.nix. And the way I want this to be working is I want to have the possibility to enable or disable certain features dependent on the host or my actual use case. So what I will do now is I will just go back to my host configuration here within the user space. And I want the structure to look something like this. So we have features here, and then we have CLI here. And then I want to be able to just say fish enable and then equals true or false. And in order to do that, we need to create the enable option within our fish.nix file up here. So we will make the config available. Lib, that's a library for the Nix language with some helper functions, and we make packages available. And here I will just enter a with statement so we don't need to write out lib all the time. And I will also make a let binding here just as a shortcut to save some typing. So I will just put it like this. I will put config, and this will be a shortcut for config.features.fish. And now I can just create an enable option. So I will just type options features.cli dot fish enable equals, and this is where we usually would write something like lib and make enable option. And as we have the with statement up here, we can just spare the lib and just go directly to make enable option and give it just some short explanation. And just name this one enable extended fish configuration. So what I will do here is I will create an if statement. So if the config features CLI fish is enabled, then the code within here is evaluated by Nix. And so I want to do a couple of things in here. What I'm doing here is I enable fish as part of the home manager configuration. So we enable it here, and here we have some extra options. So with the first option, which is login shell in it, we define some variables that will be executed by fish right from the start. So for example, I want to set an environment variable for the Nix path, which will refer, just in my case, to NixOS unstable. So I can drop into a shell with any package I append to that Nix shell command. And I want to have the output when I enter a Nix shell or just use any Nix command a little bit more verbose. So I set the Nix log environment variable to info. I set the default terminal to kitty. And this block will basically test the TTY and check if we are on TTY1. And if we are on TTY1, Hyperland will be executed immediately. The thing is, I don't really like to use a login manager like GDM or SDDM and so on, because I don't know, to me that's just extra bloat really, because here on a Wayland system you can just execute the window manager and that's it. And what I also would like to do, as I am lazy with typing most of the time, I would just make some abbreviations here, so I have it a little bit easier when I work on the terminal. So for example, I will replace the CD with a double dot just with a double dot, and for 3 directories down I will just make 3 dots. And I will replace the ls command, and just for now grep with ripgrep and ps with prox. So as you can see here, I get a warning here because we are not using packages here, so I can as well remove that. So that's all saved. And now I try rebuilding my system. And here I get a warning that my option is not available. So that's probably because I didn't add it to the flake. So I make a git add and try once again. No, that doesn't work. So let's see what the problem is here. Oh yeah, of course. We need to import the fish.nix into the default.nix in the features folder. So I will just make an imports statement here and import fish.nix, and yeah, the colon is wrong. And now we try again. And the system is successfully rebuilt. And when I go here, and I will just log out for testing and log in again. And you can see on login, Hyperland is directly started. And when I enter a terminal here, oh, here you see I have NeoFetch in my desktop configuration, and that is not available right now. So this will give a warning. Let's try some of the abbreviations. So for example, when I enter L, I get the ls command. And what I have done here is I have, let's see, where do I have it? There are icons missing, and that's because I have defined this command to default to icons and also the git flags and so on. We didn't install a nerd font with icons, so that's why it's empty right now, but we will fix that later. And what we can also try is we make the ps command, and you can see this got executed as procs, and the same goes for grep, and this will automatically default to ripgrep. So, and that's basically how you build out different feature sets. So just for testing purposes, when I put this one just to false and push my configuration again, and now I will just quickly log out. I need to kill Hyperland. And now we'll log in again. And you can see Hyperland was not started. And I also don't have the abbreviations available. So that's working out as expected. And yeah, that's it for today in this video. And in the next video, I will get into more detail about building the feature sets, and we will install some more packages to get the Hyperland installation usable and to build out a nice desktop. So that's all from me today. Have a nice day. Bye bye.